Hello, I'm John Hemingway. Welcome back to Shropshire. We're talking today about scanning your sheep, and specifically what you can do if scanning doesn't go quite as well as you planned this year. So if it's not something that you do, scanning sheep is really important for two main reasons. One is nutritional. So if we don't know whether your ewes are carrying singles or triplets, we can't really feed them accurately in late pregnancy. And if you watch the last video we did, hopefully you see that's quite an important thing to get right. The other is that if we don't know how many lambs are in the ewes at the start of pregnancy, we can't measure lamb losses during pregnancy. We could be losing lambs during pregnancy because of infectious disease, toxo, border disease, that sort of thing. So that's what we'll be talking about. It's very easy if you have disappointing scanning results to kind of put it down to it's been a bad year, or convince yourself that it's just one of those things. The reality is that really bad scanning doesn't normally just happen for no reason at all, and actually spending a bit of time looking at what the problem actually was and taking steps to prevent that happening again is always going to pay you back. So, scanning percentage. This is obviously a massive driver of profitability, productivity on your farm, because you can't sell lambs that were never born. Even on a small commercial farm, the difference between scanning at 160% and 180% is worth multiple thousands of pounds on your bottom line when it comes to selling those lambs. If you lost 20% of your lamb crop after they were born, you would definitely investigate that. So why wouldn't we investigate the fact that those lambs had never been conceived? Now, what's achievable on your farm in terms of scanning percentage is going to depend on the age profile of your flock and the breed that you've got in your system, but you need to come up with a realistic target that you can work to, and if you're not making that, you and your vet need to look at your system and see what could be improved to push your scanning percentage up. I'm not going to go through the ins and outs of how we would go about that here, but I will talk about a few of the most common things that we see. With your tubs, the very least that you need to be doing 6 weeks pre-breeding is giving them a thorough MOT, a physical examination. We're looking at these animals to make sure they're in good condition, that they're not lame, and that they've got all of the equipment and that it's working properly. In some settings, we'll also do semen evaluation. Of course, if you find out there's an issue with the tub after you've got a lot of returns on the second cycle, it's all very well having him replaced by the breeder, but the economic loss has already taken place. And it's worth stressing that just because a ram's worked successfully one year doesn't mean that something couldn't have happened that means he won't work successfully the next. So check them every year. When we're thinking about ewes, we may have got poor scanning because they're not in good condition or they weren't on a rising plane of nutrition when the tups went in. And we can also look at infectious disease in the ewes. There are a couple of quite common diseases that will cause the embryo to die very early in pregnancy. And this will manifest itself as a very poor scanning percentage. Actually, those ewes did conceive, but the embryos just died before you got to the point where you were scanning them. The most common of these diseases are toxoplasma and border disease. We can very easily test ewes for exposure to both of them. So to rattle through a quick summary, make sure that your tups are fit to work at least 6 weeks before they need to, giving you ample time to source a replacement if you need to. We've got to make sure that ewes are in good nick and that they're on a rising plane of nutrition when the tup goes into them. We can make this easier by weaning promptly, making sure that we have plenty of rest period for the ewes during which they can put on condition, get in the right shape for tupping. The take-home message from this video is that if you have a poor scanning, don't just write it off as being one of those things, a bad year, something like that. There's always a reason, and that's taken thousands of pounds out of your pocket. So take some time, investigate it, take those results to the vet, try and isolate what the issue is, make sure you don't have the same thing next year. I hope you've enjoyed this short video. There'll be another one coming along very soon. I hope to see you there.